Is renting throwing away money, or is buying a house a trap? Stick with me because today I'll be going over the real numbers, whether you should rent or buy and what is right for you. Hi, I'm Emmanuel. Welcome to If I Can, You Can, the channel where if I can do it, you can do it too. I go over real estate investing and home renovations. Now, as always, if you like this content, please like and subscribe below. But today I'm going to be jumping into whether you should rent or buy and going over those numbers. First, I'll be making a case for renting. It's good because you don't have to put a down payment towards anything. You'll have flexibility if you need to travel for your work. If you don't like an area, you don't have to stick there. You can just move to the next one when your lease is up. You're also going to have low costs for maintenance because the landlord is going to take care of that. You're also can save the difference between whatever the rent is and whatever you'll be paying for a house also, and invest that and try to grow that too. Also, it may provide an opportunity that if you find a very nice area that would be $4,000 to rent there or to buy there, you could just rent for a fraction of that price. Usually it makes sense to rent if you have an unstable job or something that requires you to travel a lot and settle down in new areas, or you're going to be staying there for less than 5 years. If you don't want to do the housework or have low responsibility, or if the home prices in your area are just too high. Those are kind of the factors that would make it better to rent than buy. Now, the case for buying. You're going to be building equity into it. You're going to have stabilization of costs where your rent may be going up steadily year after year. You're going to have a fixed home price if you have a fixed mortgage for that house. You can get tax benefits for that house too. That you'll write off at the end of the year. You can also customize that house and make it your own, where if you're renting, if you want to swap out the vanity, change the paint, all that stuff, they're not going to allow you to do that in an apartment. And finally, it's a long-term investment. Real estate normally appreciates year over year. Obviously, there's some cases that doesn't happen, but overall is a good investment where it will appreciate over time. It's normally desirable to buy a house if you're going to be somewhere longer than 5 years, or if you have a stable job. Also, if the local area you're in has more affordable houses when it's compared to renting. If it's neck and neck, it's just probably better to buy a house than rent apartment or house. And finally, if you desire on building long-term wealth with that property. Let's go over a couple examples now. As I said before, when you stay there for a short term, let's assume that you stay there and you have a rent of $2,000. Now, let's say you find a house for $400,000 and it's at a 7% interest rate for over 30 years. Rough numbers, you're gonna have to put down 20%, which is $80,000 towards the house if you're gonna buy it, if you want to do that. Now, they have other loan products out there that can make it less, but it's just math right now. And that's gonna give you a mortgage of roughly $2,000. It'll be roughly the same cost. But if you add in the fact that you're gonna have to take care of the maintenance, pay taxes on it, pay the interest, all these other things that happen, you're gonna pay significantly more towards $3,000 range, depending on where you live and your taxes and your insurance. That's one of the reasons that you would rather rent than buy, because you're not staying there long enough to kind of hit that break-even point. And normally it's around 5 years. The other factor would be if you have a high interest rate or a downturn in the market. So let's say the exact same example where you have $2,500 now for rent, or $400,000 house with 20% down, and instead of having a 7%, it's 8%. That could boost it up to $3,200. This is way more than the rent would be. And in that time frame, you could save the difference, invest it, and put a better down payment somewhere else, or just make your money work for you. And the last thing is job insecurity. If you buy a house and you have to move out in the same year and you don't really have time for the house to appreciate, it's going to cost you somewhere between 2 to 5% just to close for that property. And then if you turn around and sell it, it could be anywhere between 6 to 8% to sell it. Now, bridging that gap of between 8 to 11% is going to be really, really hard, because it's probably not going to appreciate 11% in that time frame if you're not forcing appreciation into it. Now, the cases for when it's going to be better to buy. If you're renting for $2,500 a month and you stay there for 10 years, that's the equivalent of $300,000. That is a ton of money. Now, with the mortgage, you're not going to keep every last penny of that $300,000, but you'll keep a good portion of it at the end of 10 years. Compound that with appreciation on the property over the 10-year time frame, you could be sitting on a pretty penny with that real estate. Or low interest rates in a strong growth market, which we all just went through after COVID. You could have it be a couple percent interest rate and the $2,500 for renting versus maybe a $1,900 mortgage with expenses still $2,400, and the appreciation of your house is going up at a substantial rate. However, you have that fixed rate locked in. You're going to be sitting pretty when you're paying down the loan. Overall, that makes for a very good combination to get a bunch of appreciation and build a bunch of equity. And finally, the tax breaks or house hacking. I'm not going to have numbers on this because it's just looking into the fact that you bought a house, and let's say you bought a fourplex. If you have a $3,000 a month mortgage, and then you end up renting out the other units in that house for $1,000 a month, those 3 units just paid off the entirety of your mortgage. You're living for free, and it's only going to go up as you are able to increase rents down the road and your costs stay fixed. When all is said and done, it really depends on what you want to do and what your lifestyle is. But if you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. However, that's all I have for right now. I'll see you in the next one.